assembled rotor, the safety wired Hey, it's Matt. I'm out here in the shop again today. It is, what day is it? Monday, March 13th. Supposed to be at work today at the gun store, except the fact that, and you may have noticed I'm a little thin up top here. My wife's unfortunately got cancer. So we've been dealing with a lot of chemo and I haven't been around out the shop a lot. Unfortunately, it's delayed a few things and I'm also not making it into work at the gun store as often. So today, I'm home with her. I'll be filming, doing a few things on the car here. The plan is, this thing only needs a couple more things and I should be able to fire it up. The last thing I was waiting for parts-wise was a fan belt so that I had a water pump. And since I've got a bunch of custom parts on here, I had to test fit until I finally found the right size fan belt. So I've got that. I just have to install a couple radiator hoses, tighten down the spark plugs, prime the oil system, and it should be ready to fire. So hopefully, amongst the other stuff that I have to be doing today, I'll get this thing fired up. I'm just gonna get to work. The upper hose is already on and installed. I was waiting for a couple of hose clamps. So let me get my lower hose here out of the cabinet. And the other clamp I'm waiting for is on the bench here somewhere. There it is. All right. There's that. One thing I have found makes putting on, this is actually discovered from motorcycle grips, putting hoses on, throwing a little bit of WD-40 in the opening that's going to go on your fitting, makes them slide on, and when it dries, it is really sticky. Having replaced this lower hose more than a time or two, it is a pain because of all the tight bends in it. All right, got the bottom half on the radiator. Let's get a little bit of WD-40 in the hose for the top part, if I can. You know what? Let's do this. Wipe that in the hose. There we go. Now it should go right on the bottom of the pump. Yep. So once I get the hoses on, I can start filling the cooling system. Then I will prime the oil pump, the oiling system. And I will add some more gas because there's hardly anything in this gas tank. Plus it's old. I think you're tight. But I hate having leaky hoses, so I'm going to tighten up a little bit more. There we go. And hit this top one again just to double check it. The top one is nice and tight. All right. Not done with these yet. Let me whip out the old phone camera here. So what I just put on here was the lower hose. You can see right there, and then down below, if this thing will focus, there we go. So that lower hose is now on. My heater hoses, you can see run over here. That is a vacuum operated heater control valve. And the heater core, you can see way back in there with one of the hoses on it. I still need to hook up this other hose. This heater core is goofy. The inlet side is 5/8. The outlet side is 3/4. Both of the fittings on my engine are 5/8. So I've got a little adapter here to go from 5/8 to 3/4. I need to get a chunk of hose. All right. So what I'm going to do is use this reducer adapter to go from 3/4 inch down to the 5/8. Try to do this without setting my socket here on the battery and arcing it and having all kinds of fun. All right, let's see. If I put that other hose on my fitting, which is right there, I want to shorten that up actually a little bit. Does anybody else have this issue with 1/4 inch drive ratchets? The little adjuster for which direction it always flips on me and either locks up the ratchet or goes the opposite direction. Maybe it's just me. All right, that is on and tight. Pull that thing down, make it less likely I'm going to rip my arm open on it. Hold that one down. All right, let's see if I can feed this puppy in there. And I've also got all my wiring harness running right in the same area. So I'm kind of working around things. All right, and of course, there's not a lot of room to fit your hand in here. This is like one of the few things that Ford actually tried to hide on this car, which of course made it a pain in the ass to get to. Ugh. So I like the fact that it's hidden. You don't see the hoses going right into your firewall like you do in a lot of other cars. The downside to it is it's a really dumb design as far as if you ever have to replace your heater core, because you know, heater cores never ever go bad. So if you ever have to replace your heater core, you have to pull this front right fender off the car. So while I had the engine out and the front end off, I put a brand new heater core in it because God knows how old the other one was. But I sure didn't want to have to tear the whole front end of this car back apart down the road just to put a heater core in it. And of course I tightened that hose clamp up just a little bit too much. And I need the shorter extension. Let me see if I can work my hand out of here without ripping it open. For those of you that don't do a whole lot of working on cars, you start to develop joints where there aren't joints so that you can articulate your arm into the right position. All right. That is tight. That is not going anywhere. The other one is on there. It's not going anywhere. Let's see if I can fish my hand out of here. It's funny how much easier it is sometimes to get your hand in than out. All right. Nothing is rubbing on anything. Like I don't need my wiring harness hung up on something that's gonna wear a hole in it and cause a short. That would be bad. All right. All right, there's that. All that wiring is done. Vacuum pump is hooked up. Hoses are on. It's actually time to start dumping some fluid into this thing. So the oil's already in. The distributor is currently out. Let me put these tools back real quick. All right, so whip out the old handy dandy phone camera here. So you can't really see it there. If I bring it down into here, there it is. So hose clamps, hoses are on, wiring is in. This is all my additional wiring that I added to this thing to hide a bunch of this stuff. Because if you notice here, you don't see any of that ugliness. All that stuff, half of those wires used to all clamp on right there onto that left side on the starter solenoid. That's where all the joints were for all of this junk. So I prefer to have it out of the way. It's out of the way now. Heater controls, as I mentioned, this guy here is vacuum operated. Vacuum sucks on a little diaphragm in here to open that valve. This engine here with the roller cam in it probably is not going to produce a lot of vacuum. So what I did was I bought a replacement vacuum pump for a modern GM product. I think it was a Camaro. Actually, for that matter, it listed Volvos, all kinds of other stuff. It's a 12-volt vacuum pump, and I have routed it. This is the shut-off valve for it, shut-off switch. Once enough vacuum is created, it turns off the pump, and that is vacuum that is sucking on this vacuum canister right here, which, yes, looks like a, 2-pound coffee can. That's basically what that thing is. So that creates all the vacuum, or that stores the vacuum for my heater control system. Because if you notice up there, there's a vacuum pod. There's one hidden under that plastic. There's like 3 of them inside the car that opened and closed different doors. Ford went really complicated on this AC heater system in these Galaxies for some reason. But anyway, I digress. So here we have my distributor cap, not on a distributor. I just got a rag plugging the hole in the intake manifold. So once I get some coolant in my radiator here, I can prime my oil system, pour some gas in the carburetor, which this is just sitting on here. Let me get this out of the way. Pour some gas in the carburetor, and this thing should fire up. But right now, I'm gonna take a quick break, go wash my hands up a little bit, check out my wife. All right, wife is doing good. I need to get my big funnel. It is clean. I'm gonna have to replace that radiator cap. It's ugly. Everything else in here is nice and clean and new. That radiator cap be ugly. All right. All right, that's looking pretty good. Get this out of my way. Throw my cap back on just for the moment. I gotta tighten some spark plugs before I forget about that. However, before I just start tightening them, I do need to verify that I put anti-seize on them. Pretty sure I did, but just to make sure, I'm gonna take this one out. I'm pretty sure I put anti-seize on these. It also feels like there's anti-seize on them as I'm pulling them out. Without my glasses, I can't see anything. There they are. Yes, there is copper anti-seize on there. So the other ones I'm gonna tighten up. This one I'm just gonna add just a tad more. Let me get these out of the way. The only reason I'm adding a tad more is because I just unscrewed it. So copper anti-seize. There we go. The reason anti-seize is important, at least with this engine, is because these are aluminum cylinder heads. You never want to put spark plugs in an aluminum cylinder head without putting some anti-seize on them. Because what'll happen is if they're in there for a very long time, the aluminum and the steel on the spark plug will like meld themselves together. And when you go to take the spark plugs out, you will strip the cylinder head. And that's when you're having a very bad day. Let's see if I can get this thing on here. There we go. All right, plugs are done. Plug wires are on, plugs are tight, which means I now have compression. Let me get my power drill here. One thing that's important to know when you're trying to prime an oil system is what direction your oil pump turns. On Ford FE blocks, they turn counterclockwise. All right, there is that. Let me get this out of my way so I'm not dropping stuff into the engine. Pull my rag out of the way. And let me grab my camera here again. All right, so the rag is out of the way. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus way down in there. You can see that hole, inside the other hole, and inside of that, if it will focus, is a 6-sided little thing. That is the drive shaft for the oil pump. If you look at the power drill here, the end of it has a 6-sided, come on, focus. It's not going to. It's a 6-sided hole. The two mate together and you should be able to produce some oil pressure here. So let's see what I get. So that is in. I need to get somebody to sit in the car and tell me when I get oil pressure. All right, go ahead and turn the key on. Just one click. All the gauges come on. Okay. All right, tell me when you start seeing oil pressure. Should be seeing oil pressure. Is it doing anything? Huh? What's it up to? Oh. What's it got? Speak up, babe. 35? Okay, cool, I'm primed. I can get this out of here. I got oil pressure. Yeah, turn the key back off, please, and you can hop out. That was all I needed. On the upside down on the stereo, yeah. There. Thank you, babe. Hopefully you should hear this thing fire up here shortly. Fire extinguisher? Thanks. No, you don't. All right, finally got it. A little bit of, I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot of bit of wiggling around, and it is done. All right, here we go. Where is my distributor clamp? Right here. All right, let me get a cleaner rag than that. See if I can pour some of this down the vent tube of my carburetor. All right, I got a little bit of gas in the carburetor now. Set that down. I need to put some gas in the gas tank. So I can't set static timing like I can with points. So I'm just gonna have to eyeball it. Let's get me in the ballpark here. This is spinning counterclockwise. That should be about 10 degrees advanced. Let's turn the key. Make sure the transmission's in neutral first. Well, it turns over, that's a plus, but it did not fire. So, am I not getting gas or am I not getting spark? Let's throw a touch of starting fluid down the carb. Wow, that thing seems to have lost its aerosol. All right, it's starting to fire. Let me check and make sure I got no fuel leaks anywhere here real quick. Nothing there, although I don't have any fuel pressure currently. May not have any fuel coming up to my fuel pump yet. I can see gas in the float bowl. This thing needs a little bit of timing. If I set that at 10, let's go a little bit that way and see what happens. Give it just a tad more advance. All right. It seemed to do good with a little bit more advance. Let's give it a tad more. Oh, shit, I got fuel leaking. Where the hell is it coming from? Up here, that's not good. So I gotta loosen that, tighten that. Yep, 7/8 on this. Oh, shit, there's a lot of fuel pressure there. Not anymore. Let's clean up some of that gas. All right, there's that. Now what the hell size is that thing? 1/8, 1 inch. Yep. Loosen this, tighten this. Tighten this. Hopefully that will stop that leak. And is the back one dry? The back one has just a trickle. So, oh shit, my whole carburetor just rotated a tad. Hopefully, that solves my problem. All right, let's see what we got. Come on, baby. May have gone too much timing. Let's back it off a little bit. Yeah, you dummy, you're retarding the timing. I'm an idiot. There we go.
3 hours later.
I could get it to fire, but it wouldn't start. I haven't started it yet. It's fired a couple times. It's almost sort of kind of wanted to idle a little bit. But then I figured out what was wrong. I hadn't tightened the carburetor down. So I had giant vacuum leaks everywhere. So this should be the startup. Let's find out. Leave that on. Come out here. There. Starter fluid. I might have backed the idle off a little bit too much. At least the current. Let's just get started idle. Let's see what we get here. Well, apparently, as you noticed there, my fan belt's a little loose. Well, timing belt's obviously still not tight. I shouldn't say timing belt. My, alright, that's just stuff coming off the heads. My, fan still not tight. And this is why you don't lean over the carburetor. Well, fan belt's not squeaking anymore, but obviously my timing's off. Let me see what I can do about that. All right. I'm gonna just cut that idle up just a hair. Come on, baby. Stay running. Ah, damn it.
parking lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's running for the moment. Let's see. Open that up just a little bit more. I'll sort out the proper idle and everything else later. All right, just to follow up here, since my wireless mic died and the audio was horrible from my cell phone video for the last half of this video. So I just wanted to come out here, throw my wireless mic on so it does a better job capturing the sound, and I'm gonna fire this thing up. It is not remotely done. As you can tell, there's a whole bunch of front end still missing. I still need to jet the carb, fine tune it, adjust the idle properly. I need to set the timing. I don't even have a fan belt on my power steering pump or AC compressor yet. There's still lots of stuff. To get this thing roadworthy, I'm hoping maybe another week. Just going to depend on how much time I get to work on it. So not a whole lot of work left. Hopefully the next video you see after this one is going to be, say, I don't know, first drive. Kind of a shakedown, and we'll see what it looks like. But anyway, hang tight there 1 second. We'll get this thing fired up and you can see what it actually sounds like as compared to the horrible microphone. Not horrible, but cell phone videos doesn't capture sound nearly as well as a real camera with a real microphone. You can see a little bit of vapor coming out. To be expected with a cold start. Take a look in here. Tack is sitting there, 600 RPM. Oil pressure's down to 75. There she blows. Hopefully shortly this thing will be on the road. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the channel. Yeah, you know, all that stuff.